Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, everyone knows me as Liza Compass. I'm an artist with synesthesia, creating music and everything in between, making videos to share my journey of self-expression with all of you, but I have a small confession. My name isn't actually Liza Compass. I know, this sounds really strange. I'm always talking about being yourself and being authentic, right? So why come up with another name for myself? I'd like to give you a little backstory and begin to answer some of these questions. I know that it's completely normal to have a stage name as a performer and as an artist, yet somehow I feel like I don't deserve one, if that makes sense. Like, I'm nobody, but at the same time, becoming Liza Compass is part of my journey, and in a lot of ways, I feel like I have changed so much as a person in building up the strength to actually put myself out there and start creating again, and creating music and creating art and doing all of it and being honest about what I want to create, about who I am. And all of that has to do with the shift that happened inside of me a few years ago. And I'm going to talk about that, but I want to give you guys just a little bit of backstory so that you can start to understand me as a person. It might make this whole name thing make a bit more sense. I grew up as a complete theater kid. And when I say I grew up in the theater, I mean I quite literally grew up in the theater. My parents met there. After I was born, my mom was directing a musical, and she literally had me in the audience as she's directing these people night after night. When I was a little kid, theater was how I learned to communicate. It's how I became exposed to music. It's how I learned to sing. It's how I learned to pick up instruments. It's instilled this drive in me to appreciate these fictional worlds and to create these worlds for others to enjoy. I love all aspects of theater. I mean, I love acting, I love singing, I love writing music, I love writing stories. I love building the sets and the costumes and all of the little facets that go into theater. And I have been so immersed in this world for really my entire life. I even met my husband because of theater. That's how we built our relationship. That's how we fell in love. My life would not be the same. It would not look anything like this if it weren't for being on stage. I've loved being taken away into these other worlds, these other places, and portraying people far different from myself, taking on a character and taking on all of the masks that go with creating that person. And of course, as I grew up, life gets harder, as it always does. Things get complicated, and theater still remained my constant. Theater remained my escape from the world, and in a lot of ways, escape from reality. So the thing that really had molded me started to become like mildly unhealthy now that I look back on it. When you perform, and your job is to take on the character of somebody else, you can take yourself and put it away for a little bit and become someone else. Yeah, sure, you're taking on a whole different set of problems, a different set of circumstances, a different life, but you can focus on that rather than focusing on your own. And in a lot of ways, you learn about the different things that that person would do to deal with X, Y, and Z, and you create this mask that you wear to become this character that you're portraying in a play. But when you think about it, that isn't very far off from how we all interact in life. I mean, I wear masks. I'm sure you do too. How many of us can actually say that we are 100% authentic all of the time? Most of us put on some kind of act when we're out with our friends, or out at our jobs, or doing our day-to-day things. We're always trying to impress people or make people think that we're normal, or make people think our lives are a certain way when maybe they're just not. And unfortunately, when you're in theater, and I was used to putting these masks on all the time, it became normal. I was really good at it. I was celebrated for it. And I fell in love with this so much because, wow, this is something I enjoy and this is something I'm really good at. So when I went to high school, I actually auditioned for a performing arts high school, and I got in. And that's what I started to do with my life. From as early as I could remember, I always felt so uncomfortable in my skin, so uncomfortable in my life, which was difficult for me to see for a while and to address and deal with because I had a very happy childhood. But I always felt like there was just this part of me that no one would be able to understand. I couldn't put words to it at all, especially when I was a child. But it was always there. But I was avoiding these feelings to the best of my ability, and I was so good at putting on all these masks. People really thought I was normal. They thought I was okay, but deep down, I guess I really wasn't. I suffered through so much depression when I was a teenager. Depression that didn't really make a ton of sense. It didn't even make any sense to me, but it was very real, and it almost ended my life. I did contemplate suicide. I actually almost went through with it a couple of times. But really the thing that stopped me was not that I felt that I had any worth, but I didn't want to hurt other people. I didn't want to hurt my family. I didn't want to leave my mom, especially, with that kind of pain and that kind of burden. And even though I didn't end my life, the only thing stopping me was the fact that I was living for other people. I didn't feel any genuine worth to my life. I always felt like an imposter in my own body, like I didn't belong here. I didn't belong with these amazing people that I had in my life. Surely this was a mistake. I shouldn't be here in this way. And for some reason, I always just felt restless and like I didn't belong, but I also didn't know where I belonged or who I could really express all this to. So I bottled it up and I kept it inside and I put a mask over it. And I never talked about it. I did open up to my family about how I was feeling. I mean, I had a really close relationship, especially with my mom, so I got help. I went to therapy. I got put on a bunch of different medications, and they helped, kind of. I feel like they did more harm than good because my creativity just started to shrivel up. And we knew that that could be a side effect, but at the time it was like, I just need to get better. I realize now that creativity was my lifeline. That's what kept me going, if anything else. It's what made me who I was. My creativity dried up. My energy just went. I couldn't really keep up with theater. I tried, but it was very hard for me. I ended up having to put a pause on that, but I still tried to do art because even though I wasn't getting a lot of really great ideas anymore, I could draw anything from looking at it. So I threw myself into realism. I mean, I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I was good at it. And people told me that I was just so good at it, so I should stick with it, right? I should do this, right? So I did. And high school came and went, and it was time for college, and I ended up getting into art school. So I did that. And everyone thought I was great. I was really good at art. And you know, when you go to art school, one of the main points of going is to grow as an artist, to engage in critique with your professors and with your fellow art students, and really grow and help each other grow through constructive criticism, through looking at what you're doing and trying new things. And I wanted that. I really did. But in the weirdest way, I almost felt like I was never going to get that, at least from where I was. Because the professors that I had, they thought I was great. I was in classes with people that thought that I was really technically good. In a lot of ways, I felt that I was a little isolated. And part of that just might be my own comfort level. I wasn't great with people at the time. I'm even still working on it. But I was quiet and reserved and doing my work, doing my thing, and it looked good. My professors loved it. My peers loved it and or were envious of it. And I never really got that critique. I never got the permission that I was really looking for and really hoping for to say, you know, throw that realism crap away. Try this instead. Do this. It was almost like I needed permission from somewhere else to try something different, to do something different, to be different. Really, I guess just to be myself. So again, in college, I got really depressed. I ended up hating art too. I didn't want to do it anymore, and I quit. So I was out of school, I got a real job. At this point, I was dating my now husband, and in a couple of years from that, we ended up getting married, and the rest has just been kind of history. I accepted it, and I just kept going along with that. And I ended up learning how to be a framer, to work in a frame shop with art. I was able to take care of those pieces and build things with my hands, and I enjoyed it. I really did. And I discovered pretty early on that I was really good at that too. So I threw myself at it because at the time that was the creative thing that I was doing. My husband and I started doing some theater again, and that was great. I was being creative again. I felt really good with that, but at the same time, I was kind of settling. I wanted to start making my own art again, and I wanted to start writing my own music, but I was scared to. I mean, I was a great singer. I knew how to play piano. I knew how to write, but I was so scared because it was something that I had never done before. So at this point, there were seeds starting to be planted in my mind. And I thought, what could be more honest for me than taking the art I want to create and the music I want to create and putting them together? And I thought, wow, this is really different. This seems different than anything I've ever done before. And that's when I got the idea to create this other identity. And the name Liza Compass just kept coming up in my head over and over and over again. And it hit me that, you know, I can reinvent myself. I can take this chance on myself, and I really wanted to, but it felt like my own little, secret for the longest time. This pipe dream that I had that I didn't think I would ever try to do. But it never went away. It wasn't this silly idea that I could just get rid of. It was something that the more it sat there and the more life dragged on, the more I realized I was really unhappy. And even though I really enjoyed working in a frame shop, I knew that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So I began to accept that. And I began to say, okay, this is what I'm doing right now, but ultimately I am going to be a singer-songwriter slash artist slash performer slash all of these things. And her name is going to be Liza Compass. I loved that idea, but I kept it to myself, and I didn't even tell my husband about the name for at least a year. And it took me even longer to start to tell the rest of my family and my close friends about it. My middle name is Elizabeth, so Liza is taken from that. And compass comes from exactly what it sounds like, from a compass rose. There's so much significance there for me as well, because with everything I've been going through, I can't help but feel like my life has been completely turned upside down over the past few years. I've touched on this briefly in other videos, and I'm of course going to be going into it a lot more as this channel progresses, but a couple of years ago, I was catapulted into a spiritual awakening for the first time. And the reason that's important is because it completely turned my life upside down. I mean, it messed me up. I find it funny when people say like, oh, my spiritual awakening was so beautiful. Like, mine wasn't. And it's beautiful in so many ways, but it's definitely not rainbows and unicorns and cotton candy clouds. It's a lot of work. When you start to wake up, you have to face yourself. And that's been a huge part of my life for the past couple of years. I've gone through my own dark night of the soul situation. I've had to face so many of my demons. I've had to face this reality we're in a whole new way. But I've really come into myself. And even through all of that, the thing that really stuck was, yeah, I still want to do this Liza Compass thing. And I've had this idea from before I even had my spiritual awakening. So the fact that my spiritual awakening just edged me that much closer to following my dreams really tells me that it's okay if this is weird, but this is right. It's what I should be doing. It's what I need to focus my energy on and pour my creativity and my heart and soul into. And of course, having the word compass in my name lends so well to that, because throughout all of this, I have felt so lost at points, so utterly discouraged. But even in my darkest hours, this dream that I have is what gets me through it. It's like it's guiding me and reminding me to stay positive, to stay the course, and to keep going and keep trying, and to continue to really be true to myself. When I finally started creating art again for the first time, it had been almost 5 years since I had made anything. And I just remember feeling so upset and discouraged with myself for allowing my creativity to dry up the way that it did. And it had been so long since I really created something that I wasn't even sure where to start at first. So I just took paint and I started laying it on canvas in whatever ways I wanted to. This color moved me this way, and this one was fighting this one, or this one was working with this one, and the motion and the texture and the color in a lot of ways was just this cathartic emotional release. And I decided, okay, I'm not sure what this is. I'm not an abstract painter, at least I didn't consider myself to be at all at the time. But I'm doing something, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this, I'm gonna keep trying. And I started doing that almost every day and just really practicing my craft with putting this paint down on canvas in some way. And the floodgates opened and I started getting so many ideas again. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do have synesthesia, so my art and music are interconnected to each other because they literally create the other in the process. It's really like I just have this like pot of creative ideas inside of me, and when I'm painting or drawing or creating visuals, for example, they can inspire music. They can inspire melodies and movements and tempos, and vice versa. When I listen to music, I also experience color and movement and temperature, motion, the kinds of emotions that are stirred up in normal people when they listen to music, but mine are heightened by this visual element that occurs as well. And I've been determined to find a way to share that with people in a way that they can understand and they can enjoy. And they could also maybe explore a little bit of their own and realize that, you know, this reality, this world that we live in is so much more complicated. It's so much more complex and beautiful than we give it credit for. And those are the kinds of ideas that I love exploring with everything that I create. I honestly feel that everything in life happens for a reason. And I feel like every single one of us has a purpose to be here, this like ultimate potential that each of us can reach. But we need to be brave enough to go after it and actually try to do it. And my inner voice tells me that I need to express myself above anything else, to spread my art and my message with the world and my story, and to do that through becoming Liza Compass. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry if I got rambly or off topic at all, but I hope you can start to see a little bit more about where I'm coming from and where I'm going as an artist. If you guys want to keep up with me, my art, my music, and this entire creative journey that I'm on, please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media platforms that I use. I'm going to leave them in the description box below. And of course, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave me a comment letting me know what you thought about it. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Ring that notification bell so you always get notified every time I post a new video, and join this amazing and growing family. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.